we're dealing with an emergency that just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and we're not sure where it's going to end.
Big concern is that that the regional pediatric ICU capability could be overwhelmed, and we'll have to take care of them here.
How many thousands of people across America are dying that didn't need to?
Tonight, a full court press from our medical community. Their message: we are nearing the breaking point. Hospital workers are exhausted, important surgeries are being delayed, and too many people in our area are losing their lives. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for KREM News at 10 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Well, tonight, some doctors are questioning why large gatherings like the Spokane Interstate Fair are continuing when hospitals are caring for the most COVID patients they have handled during the entire pandemic. KREM News' Morgan Trout talked with several local doctors who say politics are getting in the way of public health. Morgan.
Mark, there has never been a worse time in the pandemic for Spokane than right now. But the Interstate County Fair is taking place until the 19th. It brings more than 200,000 people to one place. Doctors say this is unacceptable and will lead to cases, outbreaks, and deaths.
Yeah, without question, people will die because of our choices. And, you know, we as a society have decided that we're okay with that.
I just would hope that people would want to take care of their neighbors.
Spokane doctors John McCarthy and Michael Ryan say community leaders are being irresponsible. McCarthy is a physician at the Native Project and Ryan at Sacred Heart. They, along with the assistant dean to the regional clinical education at UW, Dr. Daryl Podick, are speaking out against the decision to host the fair, and they aren't the only healthcare workers doing so.
I'm incredibly concerned that we have a big fair going on in Spokane. That makes zero sense in the middle of a pandemic.
The fair goes from September 10th until the 19th. We reached out to each of the Spokane County commissioners, their offices, the health district office, and interim health officer Dr. Frank Velasquez. Commissioner Josh Kearns responded, saying that our community has had so many events taken from them over the last 18 months, and that the commissioners met with the Department of Health and the Spokane Regional Health District to make sure the event was safe. He says that the masks are required per mandate, there are additional hand washing stations, and additional seating for social distancing. But the doctors say that isn't enough.
That's a real tragedy that we are determining health by politicians rather than physicians.
Velasquez stands by the decision to continue on with the fair. McCarthy says he understands the pressure Velasquez is under. McCarthy was the former health officer of Okanagan County. He says healthcare has become politicized, the reason he left the position.
I do feel betrayed. This doesn't have to be this way. And the reason it is this way is absolutely confusing.
That's devastating. We do our best to keep people healthy, so to have people dying of something that probably was preventable.
Opponents of the vaccine say getting the shot is a personal choice, but your personal choice profoundly affects others.
I can decide to go shoot people. That's a personal choice, but it's not a very good one.
They both added that if you get COVID and require hospitalization and care, you are taking away from patients that need things like cancer treatment.
The doctors add that the science is clear. The vaccines are safe and effective, and masks are proven to slow down the spread of COVID. They said a really poignant statement I want to share. They said public health necessitates taking care of the community, not the individual, and not the perceived individual's freedom. In the studio tonight, Morgan Trout, KREM 2 News.
Morgan, thank you very much. Now that you just heard from Dr. Dan Getz, the Chief Medical Officer at Providence, it is clear that he is frustrated. This a day after Providence announced they will be pausing all non-emergency surgeries. He says they are at the highest level of admission since the start of the pandemic and the closest to the breaking point they have ever been. So listen to the stats right here. Dr. Getz says right now they have 18 patients on ventilators in the ICU. None of those patients, he said, are vaccinated. He says if you are unvaccinated and you end up on a ventilator with COVID, you have about a 60% chance of dying. It's especially frustrating, he says, because statistically, none of those patients would be in the ICU had they just gotten vaccinated. During normal times, he says, Providence is able to accept about 90% of transfer requests. Now they're only able to accept about half of those requests. And right now they're trying to expand their ICU into the PACU, or a post-op recovery space, as well, because they're still caring for so many COVID patients. People like cancer patients aren't getting the care they need as a result because there's simply no one to care for them. Well, finally, Dr. Getz said misinformation on social media is leading to deaths. Again, vaccines, as Morgan mentioned, are safe and effective and readily available in our community. Well, since August 15th, doctors at Kootenai Health in Coeur d'Alene say 87% of their COVID patients have not been fully vaccinated. The situation there and throughout the region is causing a strain on the system. Leaders at Kootenai Health said there is still little ability to transfer patients, but one good piece of news is the hospital has been able to accept a few transfer patients from outside hospitals this week. Kootenai Health Chief of Staff Dr. Robert Scoggins said they are still admitting 10 to 15 new COVID patients per day. According to the nurses at Kootenai Health, many of the patients they treat did not believe the virus would land them in the hospital.
If they're able to talk, if they're not on a ventilator, a lot of them say, I didn't think that it would be me who's sitting in this bed. I thought it was either all political or all a hoax or just people who are in poor health or maybe don't take care of themselves as well who are getting this sick.
Kootenai Health has about 70 people helping them care for the patients as part of help from the federal government. They also expect that number to increase to about 111 in the near future. Another concern with the current situation is the cancellation of some important surgeries, causing further problems down the road. All right, let's take a look at how many people are hospitalized right now in Spokane County. According to the Spokane Regional Health District, 236 people are hospitalized with the virus in our county right now. 248 new cases were reported today as well, and 4 new deaths were also reported. Meantime, in North Idaho, 105 people are hospitalized with the virus right now. That is according to the Panhandle Health District. 277 new cases reported today as well, and 7 new deaths were reported just today. All right, let's take a pause from the headlines to talk weather. Definitely starting to feel a little more like fall out there. Let's get straight to meteorologist Thomas Patrick in the Outdoor Weather Center. And Thomas, we're tracking some, I guess, near freezing temperatures or some freeze warnings, at least in the near future?
Yeah, near freezing temperatures for most areas, but a few locations just to our north could certainly get to that freezing mark right at 32 degrees by the time we hit tomorrow morning, right at around sunrise. Even right now, it feels quite a bit cooler than it did standing out here yesterday. Temperatures are already in the 50s. And in Deer Park, it's already mid-40s as of the moment. And it's Deer Park that's usually one of the cool spots across the inland northwest, along with Newport, Colville, and Republic. You are all under freeze warnings for tonight, so widespread frost is likely. Frost advisories around that. Temperatures largely ranging in the 30s, from the low 30s to our north to the upper 30s, likely here in Spokane. Our computer model is actually not as cold as I think it's going to be. But I just want to reiterate that this is actually pretty normal. Mid-September, we usually start to get these temperatures. In fact, in Deer Park, our average first frost or freeze is September 11th. So we're actually already a couple days past that, and it hasn't been to 32 degrees yet. So totally normal there. And we're also expecting some rainfall for this weekend, quite a bit of it. Coming up, we can detail just how much rain is in the picture and just how cool those temperatures will remain throughout this season-changing event.
All right, Thomas, we'll talk to you later in the broadcast. Thank you very much. Well, a nationwide bus driver shortage is impacting students in Spokane Public Schools now. This is the biggest driver shortage that Durham Bus Services has ever experienced, they said. Tonight, the company met with Spokane Public Schools to try to come up with some solutions. Durham spokesperson Edward Flavin says 11 drivers have resigned since Washington's vaccination mandate. SPED's parents have told us their students' buses have picked them up late or, in some cases, not at all. Flavin says Durham met with the district tonight to talk about options to best serve their routes. We'll have more on what they settled on tomorrow, coming up in our new hour-long forecast at 4 p.m. Well, a memorial for one local deputy coming up tomorrow. We'll share the details with you coming up next. And a classic boat show is coming to Coeur d'Alene with a special edition this year. We'll tell you more about that coming up in just 90 seconds.